And we're back. What's happened? All right, so these here, we got a quick video. Again, I got a lot of topics on this channel, so bear with me, and we're gonna learn. So I'm talking today about definition of woman, or what is a woman? The famous question asked by what's that guy's name? He did the documentary, Matt Walsh. So, whether you like him or not, that documentary was funny. It was interesting. Gets you to think. So, my thing is, this is all like a. It's really about words and definitions. It's about the word, okay? It's about language, and people take, if you don't like the terms or something, people seem to jump at like, oh, these people are anti-trans or something. And I think that's kind of like a way to kind of like turn the argument around to make the person feel guilty in hopes to change their behavior. Now that's interesting because that made me think of a different topic. But for now, let's stick on this. So if you don't like somebody saying, or define a woman, or you're not a woman, why are you calling yourself a woman? Then they'll be like, hey, you're anti-trans, and then the person will be like, oh shit, like now I'm considered like this douchebag, so I can't say anything now. Oh fuck. It's like when people say, you say something, call you racist, like that's like something terrible to call someone, but it gets them to potentially shut up because they're too scared to, be labeled that. And of course, nobody wants to be labeled that. So anyway, let's just get into the topic. So my thing is that there's nothing wrong, and most people are not against. I don't really see anybody against people that are trans, but I think what's happening is they're not a fan of the language. Actually, there is a thing which is very clear. If you're, pro woman, you don't want a man becoming a woman and then competing in sports against women. That's not overall right. That's a whole thing, right? But we're not going to go down that thing. We're going to go down that path. Obviously we want women to be able to have their own sports and compete fairly. All right, leave it at that. So these words that people use. So this is really about sex and gender. Okay, now we have this whole thing going on where people are saying gender and sex are totally different. Okay, and then there's people that say gender and sex are actually the same. I'm in the camp that gender and sex are the same. They've always been the same thing. And it looks like now people are trying to separate it. People are saying that gender is a social construct. And I'm going to say, without going down a huge rabbit hole, gender and this whole society thing, this is mostly like, generally speaking, like a biological thing that separates men and women, and generally what they're into or how they are and how they interact with people or blah, blah, blah. But that's a general statement. It's not always correct. But let's just focus on the words, because this is an issue with words and language, like I was saying before. And it looks like they're trying to change the definition, or there's people that are trying to hijack the word woman and trying to add more definitions to it, okay? So we have these terms, and people will say, what is a woman? And someone says, well, a woman is someone who identifies as a woman. And it's like that. That's no other context would you allow that as a definition. Like using the word in the definition is not a definition, right? So would you say, what's a man? A man is someone who identifies as a man, right? Those people would say, like, yeah, that's a perfect definition, right? But you can't say, like, what if you say, who's a policeman? A policeman is anyone who identifies as a policeman. Like, that's not logical. Or like a firefighter. Who's a firefighter? Anybody who identifies as a firefighter. Like, you can't use this for animals because they can't speak and communicate and say what they are, right? So clearly you can describe a cat. A cat is a specific thing, a specific type of animal, sorry. Correct that. Animals are not things, as a vegan here. Or a person trying to identify identify as an animal, like a wolf. I think there was somebody in that documentary where the woman's like, I identify with wolves or something. I communicate or whatever. Just, that's a whole. Again, there's so many tangents I can go on, but I'm not going to do that. So my thing is that gender and sex are the same, and the words that we use for a female are actually just words that distinguish at what point in their life they are in. Okay, so there's female as a broad sex, and then there's all these other words that we use to describe a female at certain points in their life in terms of age. Okay, so we have the word woman, and let's just go through it because this is how I see it. And I feel like it makes perfect logical sense that we have the word, let's start with female, that's the sex, all right? And we have all these words that we use to describe a female at different points in their age, different points in their life, depending on their age. So you have a female, and then when they're young, they're called a girl. Okay, girl is just a young female, very young, like a child, basically, a girl, right? So then we have the word lady, which is a young female, right? You can be, maybe just becoming an adult, or maybe just before an adult, after children. I think, maybe should I look at the definition of child? I think child is like anything before like 13 or 12, right? Because it goes child, then it goes teenager. But anyway, so we have girl, then we have lady, and then we have woman. So a woman is just the next stage in their life, right? So you had girl, lady, woman. So a woman is just an adult female, just like girl is just a young child female. Okay, so that's what a woman is. So I don't understand why there's just this thing where they're trying to this whole movement of trying to hijack woman, and you're trying to add another definition or just another again, I don't know the definition to the word. Now, and then I guess if you go from after woman, I think you would go to ma'am, right? So some people, nobody wants to be called ma'am, right? Or no woman likes to be called ma'am because then they feel old, right? That's the whole point. So that's my perception on that. Now let's look at for male. Male is the same thing, right? So we have someone's born male sex. How's my light? My light's okay? This is rough over here. People deal with, oh, wait, I think that made it worse. Okay, we got a little more light now. All right, and we're going to keep this short and sweet. So now we're going to male. So with male, we have boy, that's what's young, right? And then we have from boy as they get older, then they become a guy or dude. Right, so let's stick with guy. That's similar when you go across. So it's like lady, and then there's a guy. And then as you become an adult, then a male is now called a man, an adult male. And then we have after that, I guess you'd be sir, right, as you get older. So woman is not, these things are attached because they're used to help describe a female or a male in different points in their life cycle, okay? So that's why I think that sex and gender are absolutely the same. These words, these gender words are actually just descriptions, further to narrow down the sex, okay, in their life. And I don't know, I'm beating this over the head, but I think it's pretty straightforward. So you're born a male, right? And then when you're young, you're a boy, and then you're a little older, you become a guy, right? And then you're a man, and then you're a sir, and then you're old, right? So that's that. But what's interesting is that what's happening is they're trying to change definition of words, and they're trying to include what a woman is, like anybody. So basically they're saying that okay, if you're a guy, but now you want to identify as a woman, all you have to do is maybe, you might not even have to dress up like a woman, right? You can just show up and be like, hey, I'm identify as a woman now. You can just look exactly like I'm dressing up as a guy. And I can just be like, I'm a woman. And then whatever. Or there's the people that's like, all right, I want to grow my hair out. I'm going to put makeup on. and maybe I'm going to put a dress on or a certain type of top that generally women wear or ladies wear, and now I'm a woman. So like you're trying to include a male who now dresses up like a woman, and now they're a woman. And that's why Matt Walsh will say something like, now a woman is some type of costume, right? That's will say that. And then there's the other part where it's like, all right, well, you can change, you can have, you can have surgical procedures to change your sex organs and your hormones, and then you're a woman. So, I mean, you're born a certain way. Almost everybody, I know there's like a small percentage of people, I don't know what the percentage is, that are born like intersex or something, right? Where the baby is developing and it's not fully developed in either direction or something. But yes, sex and gender, I think it's pretty obviously clear that they're the same. And these words that we use are just distinguishers or identifiers of different points in the female life cycle or in the male life cycle. And I'll end with the fact that we're at 11 minutes. So I'll end with the fact that this is not something that's going on in this part of, I guess, language or society. Let's go back. Sorry. So in other places, people accept that women can't be men and men can't be women, right? So like, here's an example. I think it's in the Philippines or something. There's guys that are dressing up like women quite convincingly, I will say. And when they communicate with somebody and they explain what they are, who they are, they call themselves lady boys. Okay, straight up. They're like, hey, I'm a lady, but just so you know, I'm actually a boy dressed up as a lady. Now, if you want to nitpick, maybe they should call themselves boy ladies because they're boys dressed up as ladies, but that's neither here nor there. We're just gonna understand that they are being very transparent and straight up, and they understand definitions of words. They have meanings, and they help with communication. And they've always, when a word has a definition, it's always been that way. Everybody understands it, so we can all communicate properly and have no issues with confusion or miscommunication. So when it's a guy there and they makeup, hair, and they put a dress on, whatever, look all sexy, right? They straight up say that they are called lady boys, okay? Lady boys. So, but that's not happening here. Obviously, we have men dressing up as women and saying, I'm a woman, right? When we know what a woman, the definition, we know what that is. The other thing that's interesting, I'll just add on to the end of this video, is that there's a couple of things where I noticed where other words have been, the definitions have been changed, and they're adding. All right, so I have to get some light, so I think we're good. So these words, more like definitions, are being added or changed, right? So one of the words that during the 2020, probably 2020 or 2021, so they actually changed the definition of vaccine at one point. Hopefully that doesn't mess up this video. But for vaccine, right off the CDC's website, so they always accepted and defined vaccine as, I don't know if it's like a drug or whatever the freaking beginning of the definition is, but it's basically like the thing that provides immunity. It's always been about immunity. But during the whole pandemic, they actually changed the definition and they added in that it actually just provides protection. So it used to be always that it gave immunity. Now, because of the fact that the vaccines that they were using at the time weren't actually providing immunity, they actually added in and changed in the definition of vaccine and said provides protection. Okay, so that's an example where they changed. The other one they changed related to that was they changed the definition of anti-vax. So they actually changed, anti-vax was just somebody who did not want to, didn't agree with vaccines, didn't want to get vaccines, and they thought maybe vaccines were bad, right? But they actually added into the definition during this time that vaccines were actually, anti-vaxxers were also people that were against vaccine mandates. So that wasn't cool, because what was happening is is that there were people that were, maybe they got the vaccine, but they also weren't a fan of the fact that they were basically forced to get a vaccine, to go to school, to go to work, to travel, etc. Or maybe they were with someone and they didn't feel like they should make the person they're with have to get a vaccine, right? So they were protesting against it, but the news and the media couldn't call them anti-vaxxers because they weren't anti-vaxxers, they got the vaccine. But since they changed the definition of anti-vax to include people that were anti-vaccine mandate, then you can call them anti-vaxxers. And to society, an anti-vaxxer looks like a crazy person, so they can get away with it and make them look bad. So it's really annoying that what's happening, like, we can't just have a word and then change the definition and make it something different. That's not cool. Just to, like, I don't know, for the benefit, make people look bad, or just to, I don't know, it's confusing. Words have meanings, words have definitions, and everybody knows what they are. It really just is that simple. Anyway, so I hope I explained that fairly. It has nothing to do with being anti-trans or anything like that. Like, I that's perfectly fine, you know. I mean, for me personally, as long as you know, you're an adult and you want to do something to your body, whatever, you want to wear something different, you want to grow your hair and wear makeup, like, do whatever you want. You're an adult. That doesn't hurt anybody. So that has nothing to do with it. It's all about words and definitions, what they mean, how we use them, what everybody understands them as, and communication and understanding. So that is all. I've got to end this thing. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, ask questions. What do you think? Gender, sex the same, all that stuff. Did it make sense? Right? Female goes girl, lady, woman, ma'am, etc. That is all. Peace.